What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? We are getting to the end of August. Fall is right around the corner. Hopefully that temperature starts to cool down and the bass start to bite. But right now, one of the tougher times of the year to be out there on the water, but great time to get things stocked up and ready for that next season of fishing. So the first one we got here, we got new rod, one that we're all really excited about, new Evergreen Brett Hite Super Combat Stick. Now, we saw this thing at ICAST. Brett Hite told me himself, do not mess this thing up on the What's New show. So let's see if I get it all right. Starting with the blank, this is a combination of glass and a low modulus graphite blank material. And so it's a little bit lighter than the last generation of combat sticks. And also it's got a lot more backbone to it. And it's gonna be more sensitive since there's more graphite in this rod construction versus the last generation. I mean, when you take both of them and you take the last generation and you flex them on the ground, this new Super Combat Stick has definitely got more power starting up here in kind of the upper 2/3 of the blank. It definitely shuts off and has a lot more power. So you're gonna get a lot more hook setting power and be able to pull those fish out of cover more efficiently than the last generation combat sticks. On the guides, Fuji titanium guides on the handle. So they got this red handle, this custom red kind of candy apple, like an old school hot rod, really cool looking. But man, it is super comfortable. Your hand wraps right around there. And then you're gonna get a ton of blank exposure. So you're really gonna be able to feel that jig vibrating and feel when it comes into contact with grass, feel when you hit a twig, piece of brush, something like that. So increase your sensitivity. And then down here on the grips themselves. So instead of an EVA or a cork, they actually went to this full carbon fiber grip on there. Now it's super comfortable and it does lighten up the rod a bit, and then it's also gonna increase that sensitivity even more. So that vibration is gonna transmit through the blank, through that handle much more effectively than you would with an EVA foam or a cork handle. And you don't have to worry about it getting wet. Actually, when this thing gets wet, it even gets more tacky. So that was one concern that some people might have had, that harder material getting wet. And then losing some of your grip. Don't have to worry about that at all. But overall, the most high performance rod out there for throwing the jackhammer, specifically tuned by Brett Hite himself, one of the best vibrating jig anglers out there in the world. So if you want to get one of these, make sure you grab it while you can, because there's only limited quantities of these, and the batch that we got is the only batch that we're going to get. So once they're gone, they're going to be gone. So if you're on the fence about getting one, you want to snag one while you still can, and they're in stock. Next up, from Bigbait. So we got a bunch of new baits, including some spinner baits, big flutter spoons, some really cool stuff from this Bigbait company, but we just wanted to highlight a couple. This first one, the one that I'm super pumped to use, is this Awakened Wakebait. The profile on this thing is ginormous. I mean, look how wide this bait is. Overall big bluegill profile. Got a big square bill on there, so it runs super shallow. And then because of how wide it is and how big the profile is, this thing's gonna push a ton of water and just make a super aggressive disturbance on the surface. I think it's really gonna be good, kind of that spawn time, especially post-spawn when the bass move off beds and the bluegills come up to bed. Gonna be a great time to throw this. Also gonna be a great option for night fishing. On the inside, it's got a weight transfer system and a loud rattle. I mean, it is super loud. It feels like they took the ball out of a Krylon spray paint bottle and threw it in there. So, I mean, it's an aggressive weight transfer system, so it's gonna be super loud. Great option for night fishing. You really call fish from a long way away. Big, nasty treble hooks on there. So if you're looking for, that bluegill profile, something different, something's gonna be super loud, really aggressive wake bait, definitely wanna check that one out from Bigbait. The next one is their Big Grip. Now, this is something I wish I would have had probably 3 months ago. They put some trout in the local lake, and the bass were chasing those things around like schooling tuna out in the middle of the lake, blasting them out of the water. It was intense, and this would have been something that you can throw to those fish, and something that's a different profile than what everyone else is out there throwing, and trigger some of those fish to bite. Now, they're calling this a rip bait or a jerk bait, but it is it is way bigger and way more aggressive than most, 99% of your jerk baits out there on the market. It's 7 inches and 3 ounces. And here at the widest part of it, it's nearly 2 inches tall. So it's not your regular old rip bait that you're gonna throw on a medium action rod with 12-pound line. You're gonna need a bigger rod, heavier duty line to even throw this thing. Big bill on there, so this thing goes down, 4 to 8 feet, so it gets down deeper in the water column. And then this one doesn't have any rattles in it at all, so completely silent. So, that big profile really mimics a hatchery trout. We have it in other colors if you want to, in a bone color, so if you want to mimic maybe a big gizzard shad or, big threadfin or something like that, you have that option as well. But overall, a really big profile jerkbait, something that's not really out there on the market right now, and it's going to be really effective, especially with the guys that are throwing, fishing on live scope and active target sonar systems. A lot of people are throwing rip baits. Now this is just something that's way oversized and really going to target those bigger fish that are up chasing those bigger, bigger forage like trout and gizzard shad. Moving down the scale of hard baits. So, if you're looking for something a little bit easier to throw, a little bit more traditional, Lucky Craft's got a new one, the new LC 1.5 Wave DRS. So, the body of this bait is your standard 1.5 style body, but the bill, super aggressive L-shaped bill. It's got a crazy angle on it, and then it has the DRS system inside, which stands for deep rattle sound. So, it has that one knocking sound in it. Now with that bill on there, this is going to run much shallower than your 1.5 square bill crankbait. So this is only going to run about a foot or two. And then with the way that bill shaped, it kind of has a pretty big scoop on it. This bait's going to hunt side to side really aggressively. So you don't even need to contact any kind of cover. It's going to hunt side to side all by itself. So it's going to be really effective when you need that crankbait, that kind of square bill action, but you only need it to run about a foot or two. Most of your square bills are going to run you that 3 to 5 foot range. And if you're trying to fish up in that, 1 to 2 foot range, you really got to hold your rod up high to keep those things from running too deep and really snagging up the whole time. This is going to be deadly in that zone, just more effective in that 1 to 2 foot range when you really need something to just go by a piece of cover. And say you have types of structure or types of cover that you're trying to fish, but you don't really have anything good to run your crankbait into and get it to deflect. This is going to hunt side to side and trigger those bites all on its own. So something to throw in the arsenal. Lucky Craft makes some of the best cranks on the market, and now you got something to cover that really shallow range in the water column. Moving down even farther, even smaller baits. So from Megabass, we just got a whole line of BFS baits. We showed a couple to you last week, and now we got a couple more as well. So the first one here is the X70, and then we also have the X80 jerkbait. So both of them really small jerkbaits. The X70 is actually about a 1/4 inch longer than the X80, but the X70 weighs 1/6 of an ounce, and your X80 is going to run you about a 1/4 of an ounce. Really cool, small BFS style jerkbaits. I was actually just up in the mountains with one of my buddies, and he was throwing this thing in, super skinny water, 6-inch water, catching tiny little 6-inch trout with it. This thing catches fish. Going to be great for those times when you just need that really small profile to get a bite. There's times out there when it seems like it's always easy to go up in size, but it's really hard to find something that's small that's going to really mimic those smaller bait fish, especially coming up in this the fall time of the year. The smaller baits are really key. You get those really young shad. They're only inch and a half long, and it's hard to find baits that effectively mimic those size shad and just give you more options and different stuff to throw at them. So the X70 going to be a little bit more finesse style of a jerkbait. It's got flatter sides on it, so it flashes really well, but the bill's really narrow on it, so it's a really tight darting action side to side. You can straight wind it, and these are good multi-species bait as well. So you can fish them for panfish, trout, you fish them for bass, you fish them for walleye, you can fish streams with them, ponds. It only runs about a foot or two, but still going to be deadly in lakes when those fish are really keyed in on the small bait fish. On the X80, it's a little bit taller of a profile, a little bit wider. This one's got a little bit wider bill on it as well, so just a little bit bigger profile, and this one is going to give you more aggressive darting action. So it'll dart side to side all over the place and just be a little bit more aggressive if you want an action that maybe darts side to side, up and down, and gets all over the place. That's going to be the one you want to go with. And then we also got the new the Dog X Junior. I'm for sure butchering this name. The Koya, something like that. I'm for sure messing it up. But this is a small little topwater bait. It's just basically a miniature version of their Dog X topwater. So, you know, really, really small topwater. These things are gonna be so fun to throw. So if you got a BFS setup, or you can throw it on a spinning rod. This thing has got some phenomenal action. It's a walk the dog style bait. But again, when the fish are keyed in on those really small baits, there's not many topwaters out there that are gonna effectively walk the dog that are that size and, you know, still have all the detail. You know, when you get a Megabass bait, the attention to detail on these baits is second to none, and the action is phenomenal. So if you're looking for something, you know, really small, just gonna be super fun, you're gonna get a ton of bites with these things. Check out the new topwater, that Dog X Junior from Megabass. All right, we're gonna go into a few terminal pieces here. So this one, not new. We actually featured this one a few months ago. The Gustafson's Smeltnator head. So this is the exact head that Jeff Gustafson won the Bassmaster Classic on, and we were getting, you know, small batches of them into stock, and they would just go right out the door. So everyone's wanting to get their hands on this jig head for live scope fishing, for vertical jigging. It's a phenomenal jig head, and we finally just got our first full order of them. So if you were interested in these heads, we have every color, every size in stock now, and they've been super hard to get your hands on because this is the jig head that Jeff Gustafson won the Classic on. So if you've been waiting for them, they are in stock now. From Bass Union, we got a couple really cool things. So we got their new Finesse Swimbait head and Finesse underspin. Now, if this Swimbait head looks familiar, it's really similar to the old Revenge head that isn't made anymore. And that old Revenge head was one of our best sellers and hugely popular in our office with a bunch of the anglers up there. So now, you know, Bass Union is making this small Finesse style Swimbait head. So he's got a few different colors and tons of options. So within the line, there's tons of weight options with different hook options as well. So you can really dial in and get the exact head with the exact size hook for whatever bait you really want to put on that thing. 90-degree line tie, 604 Gamakatsu hook on there, razor sharp, got plenty of strength on it. 4 barb keeper system, so you can see it from a side profile, you got 2 barbs, and then up and down you got 2 barbs going that way. So that thing locks your soft plastics into place. Got a super tough powder coating on there. I don't know how he's doing it, but it feels like he's got like a rhino lining on there. It's super, super strong, so it's not gonna chip off like some of the cheaper powder coatings on there. On the bottom, the weights are actually stamped on there, which is awesome because it's super hard to tell, you know, if this is a 3/8 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, you know, you cut one off and throw it in the box, throw it at the bottom of the boat and you forget about it and you forget what sides you actually had tied on. Having those weights on there, great key feature. If you're looking for an underspin, he makes the same head with an underspin on it. So got a tiny little willow blade on there. Again, another good bait that's gonna be deadly up here in the fall. Those really small finesse underspins are deadly on those fish that are chasing shad, pushing them in the back of the creeks and really after those smaller bait fish. The last one he's got here is this Weedless Shaky head. Really cool shaky head. I like this design a lot. And you know, that triangular shaped head, it's gonna sit flat on the bottom every single time. So that little flat spot is gonna keep that worm pointed straight up in the air. And then with that EWG hook design, I've always found that, you know, a shaky head with something like this EWG style design, I've always had much better hookup ratios with it than something that's just a straight shank round bend hook. And it's got the little bend in it, so you rig your worm up on there, it stays nice and locked into place. Again, got that same powder coating on it, and then got the weight stamp there on the front on the head. So if you're looking for a new shaky head, you know, something that's gonna really get you a great hookup ratio, keep those worms kind of locked into place, a little bit easier to rig than some of the screw locks out there. They're for sure quicker than trying to get everything lined up and screwed on just right. That's gonna be a great shaky head throw in the box. Some other small baits, you know, keeping with the small stuff, we got a couple new jigs from Jewel. Jewel makes some phenomenal jigs, and they've made some beefed up versions of their pretty popular jigs. So we got the new Pee Wee Football HD jig. So small jig, Pee Wee size, football head, but now the HD model comes with this super stout sickle shaped hook on there. It's a custom hook. It's really, really strong. So now you're getting a Finesse profile football head jig. You know, great this time of the year if you're still doing some summertime fishing and the fish are out on those ledges out there really deep. You know, football heads are really effective fishing offshore fish, especially hopping them up off the bottom. Now you can fish a really small, compact profile. If your fish are a little finicky, they've been pressured a lot, you can go down with your jig size, but you're still gonna have plenty of power, so you can throw medium heavy rod, 20-pound line, whatever you want, and have plenty of power to drive that hook and pin those fish and pull them to the boat, and you're not gonna have to go down to lighter line and a lighter action rod. On the band on the back, it's actually got spots on the band if you wanna add rattles to it as well. So add a little bit of sound to your jig. What's great about these jigs too, come in a 2-pack. Same thing, so we got their Pee-wee Spider Jig HD. So this is more of a round ball head design, and the way the angle is on that line tie, when this one's on the bottom and you're pulling it forward, it really keeps that trailer pointed forward. You know, the football head, it's got that flat spot, so it always has that trailer pointed up in the air, but both of them do a great job of that. On these ones, you know, that finesse cut, almost frog hair style skirt. So, you know, really finesse. It's not a real big, bulky skirt. These are made to be, you know, finesse type jigs. Put your favorite little craw trailer on there, whatever you need. This is gonna be good for just about all applications. You know, that round ball style head. You can throw it around wood and brush. You can throw it in rocks. You can skip it under docks. You can do just about anything with that style of head. And then you got all that power back there, so you can fish heavy line and really drive a hook in a fish and really get them out of cover if you need to. We got a few soft plastics here. First one here, not a new bait at all. Really familiar if you fish saltwater on the West Coast. This is the MC Swimbait Slug. So we're super stoked. Bunch of us in the office that do a lot of saltwater fishing are super happy that we got these into TW. Now we can get these for ourselves and take them out rock fishing, calico fishing, all kinds of stuff you can do with these. So we got them in a bunch of sizes. So we have them down to this 4-inch model and then all the way up to an 8-inch model. But these aren't just, these are great inshore baits, especially if you're doing calicos and sand bass and yellowtail and halibut fishing and all kinds of stuff like that. These are great baits to have. They're made out of a really tough plastic. So when you're chasing fish that toothy fish that tear plastics up, these are great to throw. But not just a great inshore bait. You can do tons of stuff in freshwater with these. With these, with the Slug, it's got that pin tail on there, so it's a super subtle action. These little guys are gonna be great to drop shot or throw on like an underspin or a jig head in the wintertime. When you don't want that wide kicking action, they sink a little bit faster. They don't have the drag that your paddle tail would have. But just overall, super effective baits, really cool colors. Super stoked that we got these in to Tackle Warehouse. Last step from Tightlines UV. So we got their new drop shot minnow. And now this one, it's a really small like shad profile of minnow bait, but it's crazy thin, super, super thin. And now they made this one to really excel on a nose hook drop shot rig. And then with the Tightline stuff, it's enhanced with all that UV, the UV enhancements. So you can fish these down super, super deep and low light conditions and also in dirtier water. And you're gonna get that UV reflection much easier to fish to find and to track down when you're down there in those murky conditions. The next one that we got here is this little 2-inch solid tube. So this little tube bait, they're calling it a tube, so it's kind of shaped like your traditional tube, but it's a solid body all the way through. This one's gonna be really good on like your Ned style head. So it's got that little bit of skirt on there, really super finesse action. So you can put this on your favorite Ned head. You can even put it on a drop shot, nose hook it, and just super tiny bait. When the fish are really, really finicky, that's gonna be the one you wanna go to. All right, that's gonna wrap up today's episode of What's New at Tackle Warehouse. For more information or to purchase any products seen here today, make sure to click shop or the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this week's video, subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments which one of these products you're most excited about.